New intro.
Welcome to Still Driven Happy Hour.
Welcome to the 53rd edition,
53. Daryl Dawkins.
Season 2, Episode 1, if we want to call it that, of the Still Drippin' Happy Hour. This is your host, Mason. We've got a very special guest that we've talked about on the pod for way too long. But along with me, with the special guest, is Hayes Holla.
Man, I'm nobody on this one. I'm just a peon.
Hayes, why don't you introduce our guest? Give a proper introduction.
I'll give a proper introduction. So I think as far as Nashville, and I would dare say Nashville fashion goes, we're talking to an icon of Nashville culture, vintage sneakers, the whole thing. And that would be the guys at Music City Vintage. But we're talking to Justin because Trey couldn't make it because he's got a baby.
Yo, welcome in. That was a over drastic.
Whatever. That's bullcrap. Don't be so modest.
I'm trying to think of the proper word. Over dramatic.
No,
I'm just a normal man. I'm just Justin from Music City, man. Hey, enjoying the day. Kind of helping out people around Nashville and meeting great people like you all. So,
whatever.
I'm still tripping.
Listen,
happy hour, and we're excited. So
I feel
thank
like
for having me.
What we've learned our first year is definitely we give people their flowers when we get to meet them and talk to them like this. And so your flowers are that. We love you guys.
Speaking of flowers, happy 1 year anniversary. I listened to it. It's been an amazing achievement. Not a lot of people make this huge feat like y'all do. So happy 1 year to y'all. That's a big achievement.
Dude, listen to that.
Thank you.
Mason is the straw that stirs the drink. So
takes a team.
Also, check out Mason's hat. I mean, this is free shout out.
If you're on, but
I see it. I like it. I love it. That's our first. That was like our first one we did.
Yeah, I've also got the. This was a Christmas gift. So
dang, look at.
Hey,
we always mention brother-in-law Seth. So shout out to brother-in-law Seth for the Music City Vintage 3 year. Yeah. But we'll get into that later.
Thank you.
Mason fanboy and bigger than me.
I know. I brought out all the stops.
He's gonna get an autograph.
I'm fans of y'all, so I greatly appreciate the opportunity to come talk to y'all. So
Justin, just real quick before we get into it, tell us about your upbringing, where you're from, when you got into sneakers and vintage and all that.
So I guess it's TLDR because I go on a tangent sometimes, but I'm actually from Nashville, particularly South Nashville, kind of like the Paragon Mills, Harding Place area. If you're familiar.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
So we grew up over there, both Trey and I, and we went through the whole process and graduated from Glencliff. And basically the short version of it is back in the day when we were in high school, we really didn't have a whole lot of money to really just buy like new clothes and things of that nature. And around the time the song Snapback's Back by Tiger and Chris Brown came out.
Wow.
That song came out, and at that time there was no way to get snapbacks. It was only really like plain fitted caps in the mall. So really the only way to get hats, and especially vintage snapbacks, were to thrift them. So we started kind of Googling. I don't even think we Googled it now. Think about it. Our friend introduced us to Goodwill Outlet, the blue bins is what you call it.
Oh yes. What year? Hey, what year would this have been? Like 2003, two or three?
No, this was around like 2011.
2011. Oh, see, I'm old. Mason's your age. I'm the old.
we were probably in like the 10th, 11th grade when we started. So just started driving around, getting like our own little beat up cars. But yeah, we used to find them at the blue bins, clean them up. We found that this was an actual community, and we started selling, trading different hats all over the world, and eventually got into clothes with the nature of the business. And eventually we kind of grew up to be where we didn't have enough room in our house to do it. Our 1-bedroom apartments, we couldn't have fit it. So we started selling at the flea market and doing pop-ups around the city, and basically we kind of just grew into this business. So,
dude, what a story. Hey, so Glencliff, does that mean did you go to Haywood Elementary?
I did not. So I went to Paragon Mills Elementary
Paragon
School.
Mills. Okay, that's
and
the other
then
side of the
went to-
road when I grew up on.
yes, and then went to Wright Middle and then
Right.
Glencliff. So pretty
Wow.
straightforward the whole high school way. Didn't really move away at all. So was very fortunate enough for that.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Well, I think
Mason started at the Blue Bins as well. Like he's
Yeah.
still we
that-
call
we
it the
were probably there at the
third
same time.
world Goodwill.
Really? I don't. Yeah, I mean, it was a daily experience. I mean, as soon as we got off work, we'd go there when school and stuff like that, just to find like the next best thing. That I think it was a really big thrill of the hunt and never knowing what you'll find, and it's just it's an amazing feeling that even people get today, and even I get it today in the store. It's not as fun as the Blue Bins, but hey, it's it's just a different experience. But
not as dirty.
nevertheless, that is true.
Not as dirty.
That is true. Because you can find some very special items in the Goodwill outlets we won't speak about. But yes, it's very exciting that we still have the thrill of the hunt and still get excited and see different things every day. So it's an amazing thing.
Yeah,
That's
I think
awesome.
from this question, we wanted to fast forward a little bit,
Okay.
and we'll go jump back and forth on the timeline. But we wanted to get into the past 2.5 years, because you guys have had a crazy 2.5. Everybody has, but especially you all. Talk about y'all going through the adversity of the tornado first, and then the last 2.5 years that we've had.
Yeah, it's actually funny. We're actually coming up in 2 days. Will be the anniversary of the tornado. So we're coming up on it, but basically, March 3rd, around 2019, right before the pandemic hit, got hit by a tornado. Of course, it affected many people in East Nashville, and if we're fortunate enough, it didn't. There was no lives on our end that were there. Everyone was safe, everyone was home. So it was one of those deals where we got the call and basically saw that the shop was destroyed. We saw at first it was Boom Baz, and we were like, oh man, so if it's Boom Baz that's hurt, it's probably us as well. So as soon as we heard that news, we headed around 3 a.m. to go see the shop, and more pictures and things of that nature came out. And luckily a friend of ours was already there. But it was a very chaotic and interesting night. I've never experienced nothing like it, but of course, a tornado, I hear about it all the time, but actually experiencing it, it's totally two different things. So we got out
who
there,
called you?
I believe it was our friend Tyler King. He lives literally.
We know
he lives in
Tyler.
East Nashville. So Tyler was the one who got there first. And there was already some people there, kind of like loitering and stuff like that. So it was kind of random stuff like that. But we went through there, and there wasn't much we can do at that time. It was still storming and things of that nature, and just in a dangerous situation. So we decided to go ahead and leave and come back in a couple hours. So we came back around 7, and to our amazement, our friends were already there protecting their stuff, because there was probably a lot of theft. We don't really know exactly, but we know that for sure there was different items picked up as time had went on during the night. But luckily our friends had already they were there helping already, and we had such an amazing turnout as far as the community came out, where during that experience we didn't have our phones out or nothing of that nature. Like, all these people just kind of came out and helped us out during that day, and it was just an amazing feeling. We kind of turned the tears into happy smiles and joy, and knew that we'd be all right. We knew that we would be able to rebuild and continue moving forward, and we had to. So we just kept moving forward, and we had plenty of support from our community, and it was an amazing thing. So we kept on going.
So what was that like? If it's 3 o'clock in the morning, you show up, and this is like your baby, right? This is we'll come again, timeline stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You show up, it's raining, your baby is like dead. Like that sounds
Yeah.
horrible. But what was that like, man? And then talk about the feelings you had about. I mean, the community really wrapped its arms around you. It was like a hug. It feels like as an outsider.
Yeah, I mean, that is 100% that. Like, of course, at the site of the devastation, you're thinking like, man, like, are we ever gonna be able to rebuild? What do we do from here? Like, everything's destroyed, right? There's like most of our, what we had built that whole entire year was all there, right? Like, so
Well, since 11th
lost,
grade, like this is 11th
yeah.
grade, and this is you've seen this through, and then bam.
Yeah, I mean, we saw, it was this total establishment. We were actually becoming more and more a part of the community and really just launching it from there. So we were, of course, devastated. We went to IHOP. I do remember that very, very much. We went to IHOP, kind of sat there. We didn't go to sleep at all, and really just kind of chilled, cried a little bit, and then once we saw the sun kind of rise, we were like, well, might as well go out there. So we went out there and saw that whole thing. But the amazement, I mean, truly, at one point, I don't know when it was or what time it was, but at one point I said to myself and to my wife now, I was like, we'll be all right. We're going to get through this. We're going to rebuild. There's no doubt in my mind that, I think we'll come out from the other end of this stronger and much better. And, hopefully, we've done just that. So it's amazement to see that, that Nashville has such a strong community here, and it's truly is Nashville strong. And, I have so much love for the city, even, of course, being from here, but now 100%. I mean, Nashville will forever be my home throughout all the time. So it was amazing to keep on going, and, hopefully we can do more for our community as much as they done for us and y'all done for us. So,
man, see,
it was an amazing thing.
This is why I love this, is that from on the surface, you just think this is about sneakers and looking cool, and dude, what you just said in a perfect world is church. Like that's it. You go through these ups and downs, and this really crap, horrible thing happens, and then the community wraps around you and gives you a big hug and says, okay, you can do it. We can do it. We need you. We need you. We can do this together, man. That sounds like that's way bigger than just a sneaker store or a vintage t-shirt store.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, we're forever indebted to our, to Nashville. I mean, it just, we want to do so much more for Nashville and beyond, of course, sneakers and clothes and things of that nature. We want to do, we want to give back to our community, actually add value to it, teach kids and adults how to, do entrepreneurship and business and financial help and whatever, so we have, we have plenty much more to do. So hopefully as time goes on, we can continue doing that. So, and do more. So it's amazing. And we're very fortunate to be in the situation where we're at. And we for sure don't take it for granted. So it's great.
I don't even know what to say.
I know.
Sorry,
Where
yeah,
do we
that
go
was a
from
little
here?
sad, but
no, this is real life.
It's true.
No,
everything
man.
is true.
Sad is relative. If it wasn't for the sad, there'd be no good.
Absolutely. And it pushed us, right? Like it pushed us to be better. It pushed us to grow out of the space and get into a bigger space. Because there may have been comfortability. Who knows where we would have been if we didn't, right? We're just fortunate enough that there was no lives lost in the shop and things of that nature. Because clothes can be replaced, but lives can't.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this guy.
Let's see, man. Trying to figure out where to go from here.
A sneaker podcast, like that's what
Right.
we say all the time. Like this is about sneakers, or it's about culture, it's whatever. Bull crap. This is like community, church.
You've talked about Nashville a lot. One of the questions that we had, I don't know who put it in our doc, was what's your favorite part of being a business owner in Nashville?
The growth, the amount, the people, really. You would be amazed. Like this kind of goes off, but the past year, me and my family, we traveled, right? We went to multiple cities and things of that nature. And we just never, like, we always ask, would we move here? And always is no. Like every single time we're like, Nashville's home. I don't know what it is yet, but Nashville just has this sort of energy, and the people here where it's like a mix of like Southern hospitality, of course, and like friendliness, but like people just come here and they're like opportunity, they want to get opportunities. And there's a hunger in a lot of these people, and it's just a well gated community where like just there's so many great people around here that are wanting to be a part of the community and wanting to grow with the community. And they, just kind of looking for the right people in the right, setting and stuff like that. And I just have found the most genuine people through the shop and through the business. Like several of my friends today, I wouldn't have known without the business. I mean, a lot of them. So I'm fortunate. I'm personally fortunate enough because I've just met so many great people that I'm lucky to call my close friends, great close friends in the past just 2 years, 3 years through the shop. So, I mean, I really just say like, it's just a great experience to see so many great people in the city of Nashville. Yeah. So I'm very fortunate to see it on a day-to-day basis. And we just hope to, unite people and kind of do more things like this for podcasts and things of that nature. So.
Well, it's weird. The four of us are all from Nashville. I grew up as the street over from you. So Harding Place. I grew up off of Largo. I went to Haywood Elementary. I'm older than everybody else, but it doesn't matter. Mason's from here. Dan's from Antioch. I live in Antioch. Like it's weird that I feel
we're unicorns.
We're unicorn, like a bunch of us. And I always just say because so many new people are moving in. And that's great, but like don't screw it up. This is great for a reason. It's taken intentionality by people even before us to make this as great as what you're describing. I totally agree.
Yeah,
it's absolutely very unique.
Absolutely, people have laid the ground floor, and Nashville has just prospered from it for the past 10 years. I mean, we've all seen it, of course, since we're from Nashville. We've been those lucky few who have seen it. And just in the past 10 years, we've just grown exponentially, and it's for good and it's for bad. Because I think it brings a lot of different people here. But of course, that causes a lot more costs to live here. But I'll be honest, I just cannot see myself ever just living somewhere fully other than Nashville at this point in my life. It's just an amazing city. I know how much I've griped about this, so. Don't move to Nashville. If you're listening to this podcast, you live in Hawaii or California. It's not
just
place
come
to be.
and just don't bring your crap. Like come and get baptized in the culture and then be a part of it. But don't mess this crap up.
You gotta go sit on the couch at MCV. Yeah. Just sit there for about an hour. You're good.
And then go home. Yeah. Go home after that.
Go home.
It's just a welcoming city. It's great. I don't know. It's just something about it.
I agree.
All right, let's see. Hayes, I think you put this one in there, but I'll ask it for you. For those, you talked about entrepreneurs and giving back to the community in that way. What is your advice for people mainly getting into the space that you're in right now? If they're getting into vintage or opening up a shop of any kind, what would your advice be for people like that?
So a big thing, it's funny, I just had a conversation about this. So a big thing, there's a couple of big things for me. One big thing that I always strive on, even with like our staff and friends and things of that nature, is just kind of continue doing, 1% better every day. Like strive to be just a little bit better every day. Because, you won't see that change in the short term, but you will see it in the long term, no matter what. Another suggestion I would say is to network. I mean, it's, we've been fortunate enough to have many opportunities presented to us through people that we know or met. Never stray away from, learning about people, talking to people, because you never know what people do and what people, how they want to help you and what you can help with them. Networking is very key in any business. that you're in, and just kind of, you want to make sure that you're talking to people that you want to talk to.
Yeah.
And the last thing
Great.
I would say is just learn to fail in a way. In many of
This
this,
guy.
I don't want to sound like a talk host, but it's
Bruh.
true. I mean, I don't want to, you kind of just, we don't have a mentor or nothing like that. I would say, we have our parents, of course, that we can ask for suggestions, stuff like that. But we really don't really have just like someone to say, hey, Justin, you need to do this in your business, or Trey, you need to do this in your business. Like everything that me and Trey have done, it's like learn from failure. Like we have tried something, we fail. Okay, well, let's try something different. And if we fail again, okay, cool. We'll just keep on, we'll keep on doing it until we try, until we can do it. Or at least attempt to. Sometimes you have to scrap it, but just learn to fail and enjoy the journey of it. Learn from mistakes and keep on growing as an individual. And just, eventually you'll hit it, really.
Oh my
in
goodness.
my experience.
All right. So listen, you're married, right?
I am, yes.
Okay,
recently.
so forget business. What you said applies to anything. It applies to being a parent. It applies to being a husband. It applies to any and everything that what you just said. Like, forget it. You're gonna fail in your marriage. You're gonna fail in you're gonna be not a great husband tomorrow, and just pick it up and figure out what to do better next time.
Yeah, I mean, everything we've learned is through life experiences, and we're still learning to this day.
Oh my gosh.
Do your research, of course. Find what you can find your niche, find what you can do. But I mean, those are the things that I live by, and are very heavy upon. And just trying to be a better person each and every day, really. And learning is key. You can never stop learning.
Okay, so side note here. You and Trey, every time I've interacted with you, have always come up as super genuine. And what I really personally, whether it's in my job or my side hustles or whatever I do, I struggle with the networking part, because I don't want to not be genuine.
Yes.
And because sometimes it can feel like it's fake, or if it's forced, or I'm trying to get an edge on some. What would your be advice for that person who's like, oh my gosh, like I want to do it. I know I got to do this to whatever it could be, music.
Yeah.
It could be whatever. Like how have you overcome that?
Personally a really good listener. I know that's not really the strongest point, but I've learned to listen to people, right? You don't have to be the person that's like rah rah rah, like I'm the smartest person in the room or whatever. Learn to listen to people, learn to understand where the person's coming from, or what they do, or whatever whatever it is, and to ask questions. I mean, I'm a big curious person as a whole, so if I don't get something, I'll ask the question, even if it's dumb or even if it's small, and just kind of like continue the conversation, and if ask questions as you go through and continue to listen, really. I ask a lot of questions and I listen to a lot of people, because I'm just a curious individual, and I love to learn what people do, and and what they have to say. Really, I'm a people's person, so
that's how you got in here.
Awesome. Yeah,
you have to do that in order to get to this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been a personality trait of mine since I was a child, so I've been fortunate enough for it.
Yeah, so we said we were going to jump around a lot. I think the first time we as a group heard of, I guess when we started Still Drippin', it was along the same lines of what you guys were doing. We started watching the round 2, the show, and we're like, oh, let's get into this.
I love that as well. I used to watch it as well.
Hayes got into it, selling more than we did. But anyways, we went through all this and we met you guys. And I'm sure you guys might not remember this, but us being the fanboys, we all do.
100%.
Signed up for a flea market one time. We only did it once. And they put us right next to you guys. And we were like,
oh, it was in Wilson Hall.
It was in Wilson Hall.
This is bad for our selling, but we learned so much. Like you said, we asked.
It was worth all the money we paid for that booth.
So many questions.
it was. I was like, holy
we
crap!
Just watched you guys do business, and we're like, oh crap. We are not selling anything here.
No,
Man, talk
I
about
do
the flea
remember
market. How long did y'all do the flea market, and what did you learn from that?
Oh, once again, man, that's a just pivotal moment of our life. But starting the flea market, I would tell y'all a story. It's very embarrassing in a way, but it's a true story. So the first time we did the flea market, we were outside, right? And it was like May or April. It was April. It was April. And we didn't have money. We didn't really have none. So we were like, all right, bet. We're just going to go to Walmart. We're going to get all these $10 racks. We're going to hang every single piece of clothing on our rack out there. Okay. And then we're going to buy one tent. So we bought one tent and all these Walmart racks. And we were like, okay, it's not going to be too bad. It ended up being like 80 degrees outside. And we were like, okay, we can either tarp the clothes and the customers, or we can tarp ourselves. We're like, oh, we're going to make sure the customer's okay. We're going to tarp the clothes. We burned the hell up in the flea market the first day. Our racks, as people went through them, literally collapsed on people's feet. Literally think of the rack just falling.
Man, I love this so much.
Trey's tall, but picked up the clothes. I remember this like very fondly. He picked up the clothes and literally put the hangers through his arm and let the person go through his arm like a rack, trying to not be awkward.
Humble beginnings.
And the lady just like forcibly, awkwardly, like, I'm just gonna go through this rack and then I'm gonna leave. So amazing. So we were just out there, sunburnt, hot, sweaty, dehydrated probably, and just no racks. And luckily this ended like the racks collapsed about like an hour before we closed. And we were like, okay, all right. So what did we learn today? We learned that we need another tent. we need better racks instantly. So that night we got another rack. I don't think we had enough. I think no, we did have enough money to buy another tent because we used the money from the flea market. So we bought another tent and we got another rack, and we just kind of just didn't put as many clothes on it. And we had a ball.
Dude,
We did have, no matter what, we had a ball. And I recently looked at a picture of ours, and we had stuff. Nothing in our tent. We had a big whiteboard thing. Nothing in our tent at that time was over for $15. And I remember we used to haggle, like, even then we didn't have no price tags. Everyone had to ask prices, and it was just a fun experience. And we didn't even it wasn't even a big thing about the money at that point. It was really just like experience of showing the love, just selling out there. But I do remember that greatly, of doing that. So we just learned from that and really just enjoyed the human aspect of selling to people. So we did the flea market, I think, for like 2 years. We eventually learned our lesson and went to Wilson Hall to be in the AC temperature control. That was a very, very great thing. It just slowly built the business at the flea market. Just kind of bought better racks, better hangers, and just kind of slowly started doing that. So I mean, our business originated in the flea market in that Wilson Hall. So it's a very big deal.
I mean, that was a huge blessing that we just happened to be next to you. And the randomly, dude, this was I'll tell you, we had a Sunday morning conversation. They were like, hey, we should do a flea market just to check it. We've never done anything like this.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I'll find out how much it costs. I remember how much it costs. They were like, all right, I've made enough money flipping. I was like, I'll pay for the booth. I get it all. And then we did it, and we're next to y'all. And I'm like, I don't even know what the heck we're doing. Like, what the crap? I had no clue. Same thing. This is a great story. I love this.
We didn't either. As time goes on, we were just like, you know what? We like what we like, and hopefully people like what we like.
So at that point, is this a side hustle for you, or you have a full-time job also, or how are you doing it?
Yeah. So during our flea market days, we were full-time employees, and on that weekend, we would go to the flea market. So yes, we were both fully employed during that time. So that was just a side hustle. It was at that point, especially in the early days, it was literally it was literally the joy, and we just happened to get a little bit of money selling what we loved. It was just great to have that human interaction. It was just something special that we really liked. And then eventually, people actually went to the flea market just for us. So we were like, well, we can't stop.
Yeah.
So let's just keep on going.
I remember
So
that too. Man, I remember
Whose idea?
Good.
Whose idea was the flea market? Like, were y'all just like how did that come about?
That's what I'm saying. So we're collectors, especially me. I'm a collector at heart. I collect everything. I mean, I find a niche and I just grow in it. I don't know what it is. It's just part of personality. So the only reason why we started the flea market is literally because me and Trey had apartments. I was downstairs. He was upstairs, like on the top row, on the bottom row. We had our girlfriends at the time, now wives. They were getting pissed because we would fill up a whole bedroom. Not even a bedroom. It was like the dining room. We filled up the whole dining room with clothes. It was nothing but clothes. That's where, because the closets were full and it was over. Like, they had to go somewhere. So they went to the dining room. And they're pissed. They're like, get this out of here. Let's do something. Y'all can't just keep buying for nothing. So, all right, well, we went to the flea market. We see that people got some like rock tees and some like flannels, but they ain't got nothing like kind of what we like. So let's go up there. We'll just, it can't be too hard. Of course, that day happened. So that's really what started. It was really a more point of like, all right, well, we'll just see if people like what we like. We'll have fun with it. So we just went out there and tried it and had fun with it. So
did you have a moment where you were like, okay, this is going so well, now it's time? It's like, boom, we can't do this part-time anymore. We need to dedicate things. Was there a moment, or what? How'd that happen?
Fortunately, so we did the flea market, of course, like for 2 years. And I think what happened is like, we fished at that point, we had our own own individual like products. And that just got too confusing if we were going to continue building as a brand. So we collaborated, we became a brand, we started doing more pop-ups outside the flea market. And eventually we hit a point where we just put on Instagram, we're like, if we had put a store on, somewhere, would y'all like it in South, North, East, West? And of course people picked East and like, I think South, something like that. And fortunately, the tattoo artist, Zach, he hit up Trey and said, hey, we have a spot that we possibly could rent to y'all.
That's Electric Hand, right?
Yes, Go Club Electric. Okay. Tattoo. So they reached out to us. He was just a tattoo artist, and we went out there and we looked at the tattoo parlor and we liked it. I mean, we were like, this would be great. I mean, we were like, well, once again, we don't really have the money for this, but we could do it. We got to decom some stuff. We're like, we can just get a sledgehammer. Of course, we can't just do that. But we looked at it, we thought about it. And after a day, we were like, you know what? We'll do it. We'll lease it. Didn't have the down payment. so it's been don't learn from us. So
that's bull crap. That is absolutely bull crap what you just said. There's all kinds of learning things here. Like, this is crazy.
Looking back, really talking about this, we probably made some bad decisions, but they worked out. But anyway, yeah, so we looked at the spot, of course, and we liked it, and we were like, you know what, we could hustle up 2 months worth of rent. And he gave us I think it was 15, 20 days. They wasn't doing nothing with it anyway, so he was kind of he wasn't hounding us on it, but of course we couldn't get the spot until we get the money. So I think we had 10 days to get it. And of course we didn't hustle up that much money. So Trey ended up taking some money out of his 401k. I did a small personal loan for $5,000. And then the rent at that time was $3,600. So we put in $3,600, but our total investment was probably $9,000. I think we had about $9,000, if that. So of course, as you can see, that took up a lot of money. And we got to it. I mean, there was no time to stop at that point. We were like, okay, we're gonna go ahead and do it. So we got in contact with this contractor. He decomped some stuff for us, and we started installing racks, YouTubing, how to install racks in the walls, and things of that nature. And we had a soft opening, and just kind of the rest was history. We started doing stuff, and gradually adding little by little at that shop. And we're fortunate to grow it to a good business. But looking back, probably wasn't the best to sign a lease without the down payment. But it was a thing. We were like, you know what? If not now, when? So, we had already been doing the flea market and everything else. We're like, well, sometimes we just need a kick in the butt to just do it. So we did that. So we were
Justin,
like, well,
so you just showed the balls and was like, all right, screw it.
Yeah. It was one of those deals, and like sometimes it just had to be kicked. We just had to have that kick in the butt, even if we had to do it ourselves, just to do it, really. And grace of God, we did it. So
we're talking about just like that transition to actually a brick and mortar. So within all of this, you still had your real job. So what did that conversation look like? Was it just like y'all signed the lease and it
especially
was like,
with your wife? Forget
So
Trey.
that-
Like, what is that like?
it was like, hey, we're gonna go open up a store and sell vintage clothing and sneakers. Like, what was that like?
So that is a great question, and I'm glad you said that because I did leave that part out. So you are correct. They, as supportive as they usually are, they didn't really have a problem with it. And I'm thinking about it. I think in some ways, right? Like at that time I was probably with my wife at like probably get 4 or 5 years at that point. So she understood me as a person. But she was fine with it. I think she knew that we had the capability to, and even in Trey's wife, like I think they knew that we had the capability to make a good business and to do it properly. And even then, if we failed, it's okay. We can go back to our real job if needed. But to take the initial step, we did have to make a sacrifice, and Trey did decide to make the sacrifice, and he quit his job and did the shop full time because, of course, at that time, right, we only had probably 1,000, 2,000 maybe left. So someone had to do it, and we didn't have enough money to afford employees. So Trey did make the sacrifice, and of course, we made the sacrifice to always make sure we paid Trey no matter what. Luckily, we've been very fortunate not in our business to not ever have to not pay ourselves. So that was a great thing. And I don't think I paid myself at all for quite a few months to make that sacrifice as well.
So you kept your full time, so you were safe.
I did.
Got it.
Quote unquote safe. But it was one of those deals that like as soon as I was done there, right, I'm booking it. Right. I'm on the way there.
Yeah.
I know that Trey's by himself. And at that time, of course, with the new business, we didn't have nowhere near the flow of customers, right? There's many hours where there was nothing, there was nobody in there. Just comes with a new business, but we did have to make that initial sacrifice, of course, right? Like quitting, someone had to quit a job.
Yeah.
He did it. And, as soon as we were able to get an employee, we got another person. Of course, at that time we were still there, still booming it. And eventually just kind of kept on growing it piece by piece, just kind of as like the store itself.
Holy crap, Justin. So listen to what you just said. Like all of this whole thing is that this has been so good. I don't even know what to say. Like this is screw vintage stuff, screw shoes. This is life lessons. Like you just went through 2 years of hell with everything that's happened, tornado, COVID, and listen to what it took to get you to that point. And then that happens. Like, dude, how much adversity you've overcome and how much grind you guys have done. And you quit jobs and you got wives and kids. And like, bro, that's not a run of a mill. Hey, we're just gonna start a business.
No. And that's the thing, right? Like, it's definitely not Instagrammable. So like, it's been a journey. We've been in it for 10 years. And of course, like as a business, we've been 5, but we were just like, well, we'll just do it as a storefront as 3 years. And we had some like weird stuff happening when we were at the flea market, but yeah, we've been like, we've just been going. I mean, it's really been about perseverance. Everything isn't glitz and glamour, and the new Travis Scotts, and the great 2000 vintage tea. Like, it's all glitz and glamour. At the end of the day, like, we understand that it is a business and we have to operate it, but you can have fun with it, right?
Yeah.
No matter what happens in life, you'll always have problems. We always have trials and tribulations that we all have to go through. It's just about getting back up and moving forward, really. So no matter how tough the task is.
Mason, let's talk about fun stuff, because this has been this has been one big sermon.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, sorry on the talk show. It's true.
No, this is great. This is
gonna give me my feelings over here.
I don't know. Usually our guests that we have on don't get to catch too many podcasts. They're usually too busy to listen in, which is totally fine. This is just, we always say, I don't know why anybody listens to us, but we just have fun talking to each other. So we just figured maybe somebody would want to listen to it. So anyways, I don't want you to spill too many of your beans or show too many of your cards, but what's next for Music City Vintage?
That's a good question. So we want to focus on building the storefront, right? We're still we feel as though if we were to get another location, it wouldn't do justifiable on the first one. So, a lot of people always ask us what we want a second store, and we do want to get another second store, but I think we still have a lot more work to do at our current one, and what we can do around Nashville.
What do you mean?
We can do so much more. We want to do different things along the lines of like I said, helping people, right? We want to help people. We want to host seminars. We're trying to get a school, we have a school field trip scheduled where a school of 11th and 12th graders are, for some reason, interested in our vintage store.
For some reason, it's stupid. It's stupid.
I never in my world thought that some school was going to come out and say, "Hey, we would like to do a field trip to your store." So I've been a little bit fearful of this. Man. I'm gonna be honest with you, because I'm this is totally not what I was expecting. So stuff like that.
Listen, whoa, I gotta interrupt you. Listen.
Yes.
Forget your business, which is killing. It's all the other stuff you just said. That's why they wouldn't come see you. Forget all the stuff. It's the fact that this guy right here had the guts to live his dream out and show other kids how to do that and survive, and forget the vintage stuff. You're getting lost in that. This is not about the vintage thing. This is about your story of overcoming and achieving and not giving up and perseverance. Forget all the vintage. I'm not trying to be.
Yeah.
That's why they want to come see you.
Thank you for the kind word. I mean, it's still crazy. We just still have the same mindset of it's hard to see the growth in the growth, right? We still kind of we're just kind of doing it. Like I said, we don't have no mentors. No one's giving us a pat on the back saying, "Hey, you're doing a good job." Well, of course, the community, but no one's guiding us. So it's interesting to see the growth. But I just see it as so much more, right? We did the 3-year anniversary event, right? That was a great event.
That's right.
We did phenomenal. So we want to do different events like that. We want to showcase other businesses, other podcasts, right? Different, even whatever it is. We want to showcase them and give them a platform around, Nashville and globally, right? Give other people opportunities to strive forward, both as individuals and businesses. So I feel we have a lot more to do as that. I want to more establish Music City Vintage as a brand. I definitely want to do that more and get more involved in that. But after that, I mean, I think definitely in the coming years, we'll definitely get another store, maybe even in another part of Nashville, and maybe even in a different city. I definitely always like Texas and stuff like that. So
Ooh.
You never know. Dope. Never know. But like I said, I think we have a lot more left to do here in Nashville, and I don't want to lose focus on trying to grow too much.
Yeah, that's
keep
awesome.
coming out with merch. Keep coming out with merch, because I'll just buy it.
Thank you, and more merch. That's very key. Very key.
Okay, so since we're talking about that, where does that come from? Is that just your brainchild, or how do you do that?
That is brain. That is straight me and not me. No, whoa, not me. It's the team. Is me. It's kind of like I like marketing. I like analytics. And I like creating stuff. Kind of like not even creating stuff because I'm not a person who can create. I can only envision.
You have
and
the
direct.
idea. You're an idea
Yes.
guy.
That is
Okay.
Hayes
Yes.
for our team.
I am
Yes.
that. I'm that. I get the idea. Somebody else is gonna have to execute because I don't know crap
Absolutely.
about this crap.
So I've learned my I learned my strengths and I learned my weaknesses. So getting a proper
This
team
guy, man.
and getting people to execute it right. Like I have an idea and I want other people to have ideas and we bring up focus and just growing that. So it's really just we'll try it and go from there. So we want to do some stuff in April. So we want to drop some more merch on that.
Like
so that'll
what?
be exciting. I think we're gonna do still kind of fully plan it. I think we're gonna do 3 different tees, and probably some accessories. So we're trying to work out the accessories part now on exactly what we want to do. But we want to do something different. So do something fun.
Sorry,
do
I
like a
just had
wheelbarrow or something for the summer season.
Wheelbarrow.
You said what? A wheelbarrow?
Yeah.
The hell are you talking about?
Let's really spice it up for the summer.
A
Maybe
shovel.
a float.
A shovel with the
Yeah.
logo on it. An MCV shovel.
I got an idea that just popped into my brain, so I
Here
wrote
we
it
go.
down, but I didn't want to. I'm gonna try to put it together, and I'll just send you a DM, Justin.
Let me know. We'll give you some royalties.
No,
I don't want to
go.
ruin it.
Let's
I
do
don't
it.
wanna ruin it.
Oh, come on. Stream of
I love it.
consciousness. Do it.
I'd have to do the same. If
What else?
The biggest inspirations for me come at 3 a.m. and I can't sleep. I have to write it down in a notepad. And it's the most intimidating thing. I send it off to my team members and they're like, no, I'm not reading it. Because it's just this long thought process. I have the team members I need associated, have this all right, we're going to do this design. Okay, this is how we're going to shoot this camera angle. Okay, we're going to use this music, it's this whole scheme. And then it's all right, Justin, he's on this scheme. He gets this random text message at 3 a.m. It's just a lot. They're just
Dude.
I'll just talk to you in the morning.
Justin and I were made from the same copy machine.
Yes.
The Lord put a bunch of paper in a copy machine. He was like, Hayes is coming out here. Justin's coming out here.
That's it. That's
Hey,
it. So
Justin, were you born at Southern Hills Hospital? Because that's where Hayes was born. That's
Southern
gotta be
Hills.
it.
Southern Hills.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Mason. You scared me there for a second. I thought you did way too much research because I was born in Southern Hills Hospital. Because I got a little creep because they don't do that no more. They don't have. There's
Do
no
they
more
not?
babies. No, they
Was
do
I-
not.
there's
Oh,
not.
you were the last
They
one.
don't
'cause
deliver it.
in
It's the late
1980
'90s.
No, in
I was
April
94.
1980, Hayes emerged from his mother's uterus, and you did. I don't know how many years later.
I was 1994 on that one. So,
Okay,
but they
well,
no
same
longer
age.
deliver
There's
babies.
14 years between you and me. Holy crap! Oh,
Hey, you look
wow.
20,
You know that?
so you're a beautiful
I
man.
just pulled
Oh,
that
I
out.
appreciate that.
Yeah, it's that Southern Hills water.
Must be.
Southern
South
Hills got
Nashville
that
born.
fire.
They don't even deliver babies no more. They were producing geniuses.
Oh,
God, Nobel
they
Peace
were.
winners.
Yeah, they were.
Prize winners.
Jeez.
It's an amazing thing, and it was gracing the world too much, so they had to stop it. World domination at its finest. South Nashville, one at a time.
I forgot I'd mentioned on this podcast that I merged from Southern Hills.
This is a family podcast.
If you didn't know where babies
It's
were born,
medical,
now you know.
bro. It's just
It's
medical.
medical, okay.
That wasn't inappropriate. That was medical.
All right. I think we should.
Oh,
I don't know,
man.
Hayes. You got any
Oh.
more? We could just
Oh.
move into top
Let's
five.
yeah. Do that. And then the
All right.
one I had another one that I think is really good, but keep going.
I got five on it.
Got it good.
All right. So we try to
I love that. Song.
sprinkle in a top five every week. So I think it could be two different angles here. Either the top 5 items that you have thrifted or found out of the blue bins
Yeah,
or wherever,
This is it.
or
Yeah,
top
one
5
of those
items
Okay.
that come through the store. Just your top 5, whichever way you want to go with it.
Man, I haven't thrifted in a long time, fellas. To be honest with you.
Oh.
Now there's plenty of really cool stuff. but I've kind of gotten where I like a lot of like random stuff. Okay, well so my top 5. And this is top 5 to me. I don't know.
Yep.
It's just maybe it's just a different period. And it's probably not as exciting as it is probably during the time, but it was for me. So my number 1 as a hat collector was pulling a vintage Los Angeles Kings script. So kind of like the hat you have right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So it was kind of like that same deal, and it's like the NWA one. So
Raiders,
once you've seen on
Kings,
like,
yep,
100%. That
Easy.
was the holy grail of hats at that point in time. That was like 2014. And that hat right at that time and the holy grail of that hat at that point was like, it goes for like $250. Today, that hat would definitely go for about $1,500. So
$1,500.
Yeah, it's that crazy. But it was just an amazing hat, and I'll never forget that day when I found that. That was an amazing thing for me.
In the Goodwill bin?
It was in a Goodwill bin. Yes.
Holy crap!
So about
that was
25
amazing
cents for that thing.
Yeah, it was by the pound, and it wasn't that yet. So I found that. I remember that was so great. What else? Man.
Or even in the store when you get somebody that pulls up with a big old bin, you're like, oh dude, this is so dope. What is it about that thing? Or is there something specific?
Recently, this is recent, one of my favorite finds. So when someone brought in a Snapple tee, my dream goal is to have a partnership with Snapple. Very random brands. I don't know why, but you'll never find vintage Snapple
nostalgia.
apparel.
It's like everything else. It's like it's just something in your brain. You had a Snapple when you were 12 after you emerged from your mother's hospital, and you're like, bro, I'm popping a Snapple.
Yeah, and I was like, well, this instantly coming home. I can't let this go because you never find it. And it was like this cool. I still have it, of course, but it's like this cool like Snapple bottle trees. I don't know. It was just random. It was something special for me. So that was a very special moment. I remember when I found some Brad 11s at the thrift store. That was a huge point in my point because we wasn't at that point getting shoes from the thrift store. And when I found those, that was huge for me. That was a great moment. I still have them. I'm looking at them now. They're beat to crap, but I still have them. So never wear them, but have them. Another thing was Trey came up on 13 rap tees. I'm just gonna like co-sign on this. But that was an amazing thing. That was an amazing thing because that was when we first started our business. And there was just things in there like Wu-Tang like Liquid Sword, Brandy rap tee, Fuji's rap tee. And it was just these great, amazing rap tees. That you just never ever find. That was in our years of thrifting and searching, that was the only occurrence that we've had, both me and Trey, throughout 10 years that we found rap tees. So that was a little cosign on that. So that was a huge deal for us that day. And lastly, man, I found there's just always been so much good stuff. Man, you all, y'all are the best find. Y'all coming in.
Oh, come on.
That was too cheesy.
Y'all are the best.
We are nobodies.
Yeah.
Y'all are the best thing that came through. So
Whatever,
I mean, it's
stupid.
amazing. It's a privilege to come onto the podcast. Thank you for the much love.
You're stupid.
Hey, thinking through this is going off topic. So Mason, let me know if I need to shut it down.
Go for it.
All right, so I'm more into like the sneakers for sure, like heavy hit on retros, any sneaker thing related. So like I just walk around and I know what things are worth. Like I know what the Kobe 11s that he's wearing. Like I know that's $250, worn $200. Like if he's wearing the Brad 11s, I
love this already.
I just know, like he's wearing a pair of Cole Haans. He probably got those because he's not smart. $189.
Wow.
Like
okay,
just like I know
Well,
sneaker prices and shoes like the back of my hand, and I walk around, and that's just what I look at when I go out in public.
Fair. Okay.
Someone comes in with a ton of vintage tees, like, okay, sure, there's probably, the vintage Supreme, there's the vintage like rap tees, there's the vintage rock, but like, how are those things priced? Do you just know? Are you just like, this is Pac-Man from the 80s? Like, I've seen this one time in my life. It's $1,000.
That's an amazing question. That is the number one question we get on any new hire we get. It's why is this priced this? And there's no, the secret is there is no secret. There's no encyclopedia. There's no dictionary. There's no whatever.
It's your
on
gut.
how to price a vintage tee or what will sell as a vintage tee. It is truthfully what you like and what do you think people will like, and really what do you think it's a fair price. Like truthfully, there's, besides the higher end tees, if it's not worth I don't know, $200 or more, there's nothing that you can really guide off of. It's really what you feel like it's worth it, and what do you feel like someone else will value it at. And we try to be very fair with that. Like we're very cautious of and very conscious of what we're putting out and how much we're putting it out at. But it's just some items, man. I had a red Carhartt tee, for instance, right? And it was the most amazing red Carhartt I've ever seen in my life. And there's just nothing I could guide off of it. I was just like, you know what? we're gonna try. Our Carhartts are regularly 60. We'll try 100. I don't know, but hopefully, maybe someone will like it. But hey, if they don't, we'll price it down and we'll do $70 something. It doesn't matter. But the next day it sold for 100. It was just someone got that same feeling I got, and there's really nothing I can explain it. Like it's just a feeling, really. I wish there was a easier way to say this, but
no, this is totally fair.
God, this is so good.
Thought process. It's just hey, we'll just see what happens. Sometimes
that is totally understandable.
All right, wait a second. Listen.
Hold on, I'm gonna beat you to it, Hayes. We're getting deeper back into our deeper moment with this question again. Okay. So when you guys started out, you talked about the not having enough money to pay the down payment, and I think Hayes and I both went to the tattoo shop location.
100%.
And I went a couple of times. Did you guys have any conversation of how to price things early in that? Because I remember when I watched the round 2 show, everybody talked about how they gave a lot of money when you sold to them and they were real cheap when you bought from them. Was that the plan, even though you still needed money? Like you knew you had to get enough money to pay the rent at the end of the day. How, I don't even know how to ask the question. How did you make ends meet that way on still providing and being a source where people want to bring you stuff and still sell it at a really affordable price?
Absolutely.
What were those conversations like?
That's a great question. I mean, it's still right. We're still a buy, sell, and trade company you still have to.
You're not a non-profit, right? You're not a non-profit. You're a business.
They would definitely not qualify.
Correct. Correct.
No, I don't think I've ever had that. But no, it's at first, okay, so a couple things. Fortunately enough, we had great buyers previously, and we had a whole backlog of stuff. I remember our first big buyout we ever did. We went to this guy's house somewhere past Murfreesboro, and we bought $2,000 worth of items, but we didn't have $2,000. So we were like, okay, well, there's 6 trash bags. All right, man. All right, how about we just take 2 trash bags and we give you $400, and then we'll come back in like a week or 2. Or 3. So we bought there, and then we're like, okay, we got enough money. All right, we'll go back, and then just kind of like did that, and then so when we brought in product, we're like, oof. All right, how much you at? I'm gonna be honest with you. We're just we'll pass on this, or we get this. And at that time, luckily, vintage was a little bit, I guess, cheaper, and even our prices were cheaper, of course, with that. So we just had to manage the money in the bank. We had to sell, of course. a little bit more on top, and then when we had a little bit more funds, we bought a little bit. But just kind of that balance of like, all right, well, we know that rent's coming up, and we know that we got to pay, Trey. So okay, well, we're just gonna kind of chill on a day, and then we'll go from there. So it's just basically balancing of the books secretly. So, of course, this isn't Instagrammable once again, right? But it was just something where like, all right, well, we still have to be all right. So we're just not gonna like buy that $100 shirt. So we'll just hang out on that.
All right. So I got the anti of Mason's question, which got us to this point, which was your top 5. Okay. So what are things that you're just like sick of seeing in the store? You're like, oh my gosh, this person thinks this is dope and it's absolutely trash. So for instance, I'm going to give you a story. I mean, I'm going to shout out my wife, free shout out to my wife, who is my best friend and the best person in my life. Okay. So listen, we had a date night this past Friday night. And I have 5 kids, bro. And like, we have no kids. And she's like, oh, I don't know what I want to do. Why don't we go thrift? And I was like, oh my gosh, are you serious? So we went and hit up a bunch of thrift stores, and she's finding fire. Like, we found a bunch of stuff, but I'm explaining along the way. She's like, I found this Preds shirt. That's a mustard colored shirt from 2018. I'm like, hey, that's trash. Like, nobody wants that. Those are a dime a dozen. You can go into Goodwill and get it for $2. So what is the things that you're like sick of seeing? You're like, oh, this is trash.
I'm gonna be one. We have a lot of clothes. But 2, there's nothing on my like direct mind. We're currently in the process of teaching people how to buy, right? Some of our associates. Yeah. So some of the stuff that they have bought have been questionable, right? But you can't really just lay the hammer, right? You gotta gradually.
You can say it kindly, like it's just like it's the same situation.
Coaching. It's coaching.
You kind of like
coaching.
You kind of coach, kind of pet. All right, you did good on these 3, but these other 7, you're gonna have to never get ever again. All right, we're gonna put all this at $20 and hope it sells. Or we're just gonna throw it in this death pile and never see it in our life.
That's right. Break even. We gotta break even. We gotta.
Does that come out of their paycheck if they keep this up? Like, what's the penalty?
We don't punish them paycheck. They still get their full amount. But then if this is a continued evaluation, I'm gonna need you to go ahead and clock out for me and go ahead and sit down.
Take a nap on the couch.
You still got a lot to learn, player. But we ain't had that conversation yet. Fortunately, we haven't had that. But yeah, I mean, just kind of like just stuff that we don't really need, right? Like just like plain shirts with like a small logo or something of that nature. Like there's no genuine one item that's just like, I'm tired of seeing. It's just like there's just some things where you're like, okay, well, someone would like this, but we need to start getting more picky on like, okay, well, this is not really what we need anymore. We kind of need to like shift it to be kind of more quality in a way. So just little things like that.
Yeah. Tennessee Vols stuff. That's one of them. They got a ton of Vols stuff, and I have a ton of Vols stuff too. And every time I bring it in, they're like, "You see that whole rack right there?"
Like, I'd be sick. If I'm living here and I'm you, I'd be like, okay, bro, we got plenty of Vols crap. We got plenty of Pred crap. We don't need any of that more. We got plenty of Titan stuff that's mid. Yeah.
But the thing is, though, that stuff is good, right?
Yeah.
But
is
really
it?
Like, it is good. It is good. Because even with Vols, right? I know that today we bought like 3 Vol sweaters. There's so much cool designs of Vols. There's so much cool. There's not really as many cool designs as like Titans. Like Titans is kind of limited. Preds are a little bit too, but like Vols, there's so much gear that I'm still seeing that I've never seen before. I don't know where this comes from. Somehow that's all associated in the 98, but there's just so much cool Vols that just are constant in rotation. Yeah, okay. So it's kind of justifiable.
So free shout out, 100%. This whole thing is a free shout out. Take your vintage dope Vol stuff to Music City Vintage. Take your dope older, let's say older pre 2005 Pred stuff. Take your older Titan stuff to Music City
Yes.
Vintage.
Bring it all.
Like,
bring it all.
don't bring the 2017 music, Stanley Cup trophy. Nobody's trying to hear that. Like,
No,
it doesn't
no.
matter. You can go to Goodwill and get it for $1.
It doesn't.
Hey.
Yeah, that's a full pass.
So we're
Dude,
throwing out
that's
all
what I'm
these.
saying.
We're throwing out all these teams. Justin, talk about how like we're a college town, right? We've got like
Yes.
6 or 7 colleges in the vicinity. How has that impacted and possibly propelled your business with that demographic so close to you?
It's amazing. Definitely number one, number uno there. It's amazing. But yeah, I mean, there's so many, and right, colleges, right? It's constantly, right? There's freshmen every year, new freshmen, Sandy, Vols, like it's just constant rotation. Alumni, freshmen. So that's a big benefit in our business. I mean, it's hugely a big impact to us, and anything SEC typically always sells. I don't think there's many, like, everyone in Tennessee, luckily, is a melting pot. We can sell stuff from like South Carolina Gamecocks to, Florida Gators, to anything like of that nature. So everything's college is a very key thing, especially when it's in season. Now it's probably going to get up a little bit with March Madness, but like in April, May, will probably kind of die down, right? After like summer and stuff like that. So it's a big impact when it's in school, and then kind of in the summertime, it gets a little bit slower, but you can truly never have enough college, especially SEC apparel.
All right,
Yes,
Justin, we only have a few more minutes, so
Okay.
we're gonna end this different than we normally do, just because I got creative freedom. So here's what I want to do. We're gonna tell you what we just learned from this, and then you are invited back any freaking time that you ever have just the inkling. Holy crap!
Yeah.
I just got to get this off my chest. You please come back. We don't
Absolutely. This has been a joy. I love this.
anytime,
This
bro.
is great.
So
Hey,
here's what I would.
before we
Go
tell
ahead.
what we learned, Justin, anything that we need to know coming
Shout
up
outs.
for Music City Vintage, where can we find you on Instagram, on Twitter, and then any events that you guys are doing in the future?
Yes. So our Instagram is, of course, Music City VTG. So just vintage abbreviated. Our Twitter is a little funky. It's Music City VTGG. That person doesn't want to sell that handle. We won't call them what they need to be called. But anyways, we'll be at the Nashville Black Market this Friday. That's another event coming up. So we'll be there from 6 to 10. We'll be probably doing our own event pretty soon here of kind of like a spring marketplace. So we'll be dropping that date. So we'll have everything solidified probably in the coming weeks, where we'll have like small businesses in the shop, kind of like a little marketplace on one weekend. And yeah, you can find us in East Nashville at 2503 Gallatin Road. So come through.
Perfect.
All right, I'm gonna start. So here's what I learned: is that this has nothing to do with clothes. This has to do with real life of overcoming. You get things shoved in you that you didn't expect and you didn't ask for, and it's your job to figure out how you react to that. And that applies to your marriage and your life and your parenting. Forget clothes and shoes and all that. It is in the back of my mind someday, Justin, I'm going to think, my gosh, this sucks in the situation I'm in. And I'm going to think, holy crap, Justin and Trey in Music City Vintage overcome a tornado and a pandemic that they didn't ask for or nothing. And that I'm going to remember that from this podcast. Okay.
Thank you.
Next.
Thank you.
I'll go next. I'll go a little different direction. I listened to a few different podcasts this morning, actually. So this is coming full circle. And some of the quotes that I wrote down from that podcast is 2 different ones. From Inky Johnson's podcast.
Love Inky. Oh,
yeah. Great person. People don't grow where they are planted. People grow where they are loved. I know you talked about that, about just loving people as you come into the shop, loving the city, everything like that. So I thought that was really good. The other 2 are be where your feet are. Inky said that this morning on his podcast. And I feel like you guys asked where you were needed in the city. You went there. And then when we asked what's next, you said what's next is what's now, pretty much is how I heard it. So And then the last one was, you have a gift and it's not for you. And so the only thing I have, I just want to say thank you for sharing your gift with us and with the city of Nashville, because it is a blessing.
Thank y'all for the kind words. That's amazing, and thank y'all for what y'all do.
Cool.
I mean, this is amazing, and I think y'all are growing at a significant pace in what y'all do. I think y'all are very entertaining, and I love what y'all are doing.
Wow.
So this is amazing.
That's the nicest
sweet.
thing a guest has ever said
That's
to
so
us. We
sweet.
really appreciate that, Justin.
That's really sweet, Justin.
Y'all do an amazing job.
I can't follow up, Mason.
I got nothing. Mason, you
yeah.
almost made me cry.
Yeah.
So we'll just leave it at that.
All
Yes.
right.
Well, thank you all for having me on here. This has been a joy and a pleasure. So
Absolutely. Anytime you want to come
buddy.
back, let us know.
Wow.
absolutely, this
Yeah.
will not be the last time.
Perfect.
Not
Anytime.
be the last time.
Open invite.
Yeah. I'll send you my message for my t-shirt idea.
Hey, come through.
Do
We
it.
take all ideas. We love it.
Anytime. All right, buddy. Appreciate you.
Thanks,
All right,
Justin.
thank y'all.
See ya.
That was incredible.
I don't even know what to say. This is like, you go to church and you get a sermon, and how many times are you like, I don't even remember the next day? And this is a thing I will remember probably forever. I'll remember D Goods forever, and I'll remember this forever. Where it's just so many things that, I mean, seriously, I don't even know. It sounds so cheesy, but
Yeah.
it's hardly anything to do with vintage clothes and
Right.
shoes. Oh my gosh, I'm just dumbfounded. I don't even know what to say at this point.
Yeah, we have talked about having them on as a guest for a long time, and that was better than I think any of us could have
I
imagined.
don't even know what to say.
I can't wait to have both of him and Trey on.
I'm texting him in real time. I'm just gonna we'll leave this on the podcast. I am literally speechless. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Where do you even go from here?
I don't know.
We might
If y'all
just need
don't
to end it.
hear, if you who listen to this podcast don't hear how bigger than sneakers and clothes and anything else that we discuss in this podcast and 52 other episodes is the tangible consumerism part of it is just an absolute sliver of it. And all the rest of what we just learned is what you should take away and apply to your life. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just telling you that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, I don't know. I know I'm the host, so I'm supposed to say something, but I'm kind of just.
I think at this point
feel
it's
like
just
we're
going to be a
good.
commercial. You should take all your old stuff that you found in your closet. You should go to Music City Vintage. It's at the address that he just said, and they'll pay you reasonably for it. And nothing, but you're going to be supporting somebody that thinks that way that we just learned.
Yep.
And that's the kind of person in America that you want to support and give your money to, because they're going to make the world better. So that's why you should do it.
Amen. And if you're not on that, if you're simply listening to us, which I doubt it, because in vain, and you just want to buy more stuff, I'll give you this commercial too. Last week, I was flipping through Instagram, and the Shadow Ones, the Grail shoe for Hayes and I, not the Grail, the everyday shoe for Hayes and I, came up a 10.5 for $100. They posted it on their Instagram for $100. And I guarantee you will never find that price again. They said, 100%. I talked to them this weekend, and they said there was somebody there who ran 2 red lights and got there in 17 minutes from work. He left a meeting at work and he got there in 17 minutes. So turn notifications on for every time Music City Vintage posts, because you never know when something like that is going to happen.
Listen, they also had that post the other day where it was, where is this? It was a picture of Wilson Hall. It was like they're giving out a free gift
I was
card
too
or whatever
late.
it was.
I was too late. I responded like,
I knew it. We were in that building with them, so we knew what that was.
So here, fun fact. What size was that? 10.5?
A 10.5.
So
it was lightly used, I think.
okay, so on StockX right now, that shoe brand new is $550. And here's the other deal. It looks like trash brand new. And if you wear it a little bit, it looks like absolute fire flames, which Mason should look like that. And mine do for sure, because I wear them all the friggin' time. Follow Music City VTGG. Is that it, Mason?
That's on Twitter.
That's the Twitter. Okay.
Instagram is just Music City VTG.
Follow them and buy stuff for them and support Trey and Justin and everything and anything they do. And this podcast will always be involved with them, period. Whether sink or swim, like those guys are the homies for real.
Yeah. Just for instead of new on StockX, used on GOAT, there are some at a 10.5 at 335, 350. This is used.
Yep.
So
yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're reasonable and they're dope, and you're supporting a great organization.
Yep. Great people.
Wow. I can't believe we got to do this.
They're okay, I guess.
Are you taking a pee, Landon?
No, I'm walking down my stairs. Guys, I'm so disappointed that I missed that.
It's okay.
You
Just go back and listen, because
one.
you'll be ashamed not to listen to D Goods and this one. This was so sick.
This one was great. It really was.
Yeah. I think picks of the
Wow.
week, just go to Music City Vintage this week.
And
They've
you
got
just
a
buy
lot of
something
stuff.
from them. They got everything that you would want. Mason, this hat is fire. The hoodie is fire. Just
They
buy
have-
something from them.
I think they have 3 gray script hats left. That's all they had left. So
Okay.
if you want one of these, they also have the fitteds that Dan has. The
newer
green
ones.
and maroon ones. So
Mm.
still got some stuff, and then
Hey, are we-
plenty of vintage.
Hey, if nothing else, listen, the whole time I was thinking, like, maybe our role in Nashville is to help other people blow up. And I don't know. I
That's
don't know.
exactly
I don't even
right.
know.
That's what D Good
I don't
said
even
last
care.
week, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, he did.
He
And
said that exact thing.
I'm kind of feeling that after this one is maybe
Yeah.
our objective is to help other good people continue to make make a difference.
I think.
And
Yeah, I think. Well, I'm going to correct you, because we're not going to help
Please
Music City
do.
Vintage blow up.
I
right?
agree. I agree. Yeah.
But
I'm
no,
sorry.
no, you're right. Like, to let them tell their story, because they don't have they have the store, but I don't know if they have that platform to say, look, this is where we came from.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think you're right. And maybe that is one of our goals for this, is to just let somebody get on here and talk.
We are
Like
the
I said,
middleman. We
it's-
are the middleman.
It's therapeutic to be able to tell your story, and I think that's a role we can play.
Man.
Amen.
Let's just cut it. Like,
Let's cut it.
what's your
All right.
do we need to say takeaways, or
I think we gave them. We can go through them if you want again, but as always, thank you for listening to the Still Drippin' Happy Hour. Remember
you could
to
be anywhere in the
subscribe.
world, but you're here.
Nobody hit our DM, so I'm not doing any merch. I was ready, bro. I had so much stuff that I sent to myself ready, and I guess there's only going to be 4 or 5 or maybe 10 of us that I'm going to just randomly send.
Hey, we got a new
I was
listener.
ready.
We got a new
Oh,
listener, a new follower.
Bryce.
Bryce, actually 2. It's
Hey.
a buddy that I work with. I followed him on Instagram this weekend, and I've got the link to the podcast in my bio. He found it, listened to y'all's last episode, and I was just at a Lipscomb basketball game, and he came up to me and he's like, "It's so dope." He's so into it. So
Ooh.
Wow,
it's great.
that was a
Big
guest
things
list
happen.
one too.
Ooh.
So, all right. Well, remember to go rate and review. You new listeners out there, rate us 5 stars, and you can give us a bad review if you want. We don't.
Yeah, tell
Just
us
give
what's
us a
up. We don't
review.
care.
Yeah,
Make it
just
funny.
review,
If it's
and
gonna be
then-
bad, make it
Mhm.
funny.
If it's gonna be bad, make it funny. That's gonna go on a shirt for sure. If it's gonna be bad, make it funny.
Oh,
That's my
Instagram and
philosophy
Twitter.
on marriage.
At Still
Cookies on the
TN.
bottom shelf.
Oh,
Sorry, last
Wow.
one. There's only one you have to. I've cussed a few times in there, but I mean, just that one.
Man, I just really am hoping that we can top this in year 2 because this was a strong start to year 2.
Wow, what do you?
We needed
say?
a strong start.
We needed it. Yeah.
You know, I can end this episode is play that beat and then freestyle. Who's feeling it?
Who's feeling
Glenn does on deck.
it?
I got it.
You
Just play
don't
the
want that
beat. Just
gas.
roll the beat. I got it.
It's coming.
Oh, yes. Yep. Yep. Music City Vintage. I jump up on the benches and then I get some dope t-shirts. I wear it out. I get a couple new dates. I'm eating some dates. I'm eating some prunes and raisins. All kinds of great items. And I'm wearing my grape 5s. Looking like a beehive. Dripping honey. Dripping money. I smell like money. Smell like a pony. I'm riding a pony. I'm genuine. Sipping wine. Dripping from a vine. I pick grapes. I'm back on the papes. Bars.
Cash money.
What is that?
So sick. Mixtape.
Did you say babes? I'm back on my 8. Classic. So,
Thank you
shout
for
out
listening.
Bobby.
You could be anywhere in the
Anywhere in the
world,
world.
but you're
But
here.
you're
We
with us.
appreciate
We
it.
appreciate that. Still dripping cards, cookies in the box.
We'll see you next week. Oh
the
my
sickest
goodness.
bars I've ever spit in my life.